open our mind on using different languages and adapting it. You know, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and I commonly heard that from.
Yeah, and we shouldn't be purists, actually. If you want Filipino and Filipino alone, I think you are dead. Yeah. It's like Latin, you know, it's a dead language. So we don't want dead language.
Right, right. So, I mentioned this already a little bit about which language is the final challenge, and how language is so fluid, and particularly in urban areas where there are so many mother tongues represented in a classroom. How do you know? And I asked the teachers about that, because even in Catanduanes, there are different dialects in the classroom. And I said, well, which dialect do you teach? And they said, well, we are supposed to adapt for every student, but that's difficult too. Yeah. Because there was a Chabacano speaker that was in the classroom, but they didn't know how to speak, the teacher didn't know how to speak Chabacano. So then they were using Tagalog, and so it was complicated. But I believe, going back to the 12 primary languages, I believe that is DepEd's way to narrow their approach and say, we will provide materials in these 12 languages, and then teachers can adapt it to their mother tongue. Because if you notice, you probably can't see here, but this mother tongue poster is actually Bicol Naga. It is not the dialect of the place where I was. And so the challenge was, well, teachers can use what they're given, or they can adapt it, but they're already being asked to do so much that it was fairly unrealistic for them to then adapt this. So the mother tongue that they are learning is actually Bicol Naga, rather than
their language.
For instance, I'm from Davao City. It's a melting pot. So we have Tagalog, we have Cebuano, we have Ilonggo, we have Ilocano, it's multilingual. So I think it's better to teach English.
Yes.
Because everybody understands.
It's the hello.
Hello.
So I'll just close by saying my overall impressions of MTB MLE is that it is very well grounded in the research. And that if we only look at it pedagogically, or the way that it is, the idea behind it, it is a very strong idea. But we have to consider implementation. And this is the argument that I make in my research, is that it comes from the top, and therefore it is not contextualized to the local communities. And so I argue that those at the ground level have to be involved and engaged if this approach is going to be effective. But then they also need to be informing the top. There needs to be interactions between those at the national level and those at the ground level in order to make this work. And also relationships with teacher training institutions and NGOs that come in there. There has to be a lot of work to address the implementation of this.
Could you repeat again what the acronym was?
Oh, MTBM. Mother tongue-based multilingual education. Yes. So that concludes my presentation. Salamat po.